Hello everyone, welcome back to the AGP YouTube channel. Yeah, back in tonight to do another video. We did a few last week. Thanks to Clive for coming on, helping out last week. We're going to do a few more of these this week. I'm going to get me and Big Crippy's going to do one tomorrow night, I believe. We're going to have a little Skype call and we'll record it. I think we're going to do a wee football one. So yeah, we're going to try and keep on top of it as best we can. Later on tonight, this is going to be out tonight, Monday the 18th. And later on tonight as well, we're going to have another Vesty rant on the road, talking about the NFL's results at the weekend. He's recorded one and he sent it over to me, so I have to put it out on the Spotify and Podbean and all. So he's got one done, and I'll get it out later. I'm here to do the same and just throw it up on the YouTube channel. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the results of the weekend, the divisional round in the NFL. Me and Vesty would normally be doing this on a Tuesday night anyway, but yeah, he's got his thing out. I'll keep putting his wee rants on the podcast streaming platforms, and for the time being, I'll keep doing these little videos for the YouTube. So yeah, I'll maybe try and get Clive back in as well, maybe later on in the week, maybe do another wee preview for the championship games, the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. So I'll see if I can get Clive back on to give me a hand out again. And I'll get straight into it. I'll not hang about. It was a good weekend's football, to be fair. Yeah, I'll just run through the order, just the same as we did the last time. Starting with the Rams at Lambeau Field against the Packers. This was probably the game with the least sort of talking points in it, really. I felt like most people would have favoured the Packers going into the game anyway. I think that would have just been. I think Clive and both me and Clive picked the Packers to win this. You know, the Rams had question marks with the health of Aaron Donald and the health of Jared Goff as well. So there was question marks, you know. So and the Packers have been good this year. As I said, it felt like the Rams needed a lot to go right to win last week against the Seahawks, and it did. And then they would have needed even more to go right this week to beat the Packers at Lambeau. But the game finished up 32-18. It was pretty comprehensive, in all honesty, from the Green Bay Packers. I don't think Aaron Donald was entirely healthy. Obviously, he had the rib injury. He only had one pressure in the game. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of time back there. Obviously, the pass rush for the Rams is centered around Aaron Donald, and maybe taking double teams and stuff, and then that allows others to get to the quarterback. He only had one pressure at the weekend. I don't think he was entirely healthy, and it sort of left Aaron Rodgers with an entirely clean, a very clean game. He played very efficiently. Aaron Rodgers, he looked really, really good, but he didn't have to do an awful pile to really come out in the win against this in this game. Sorry. They spread the ball around a little bit. Lazard, Valdez-Scantling both had decent enough games. Obviously, everybody was looking forward to the big matchup between Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey. And now, to be fair, Devontae Adams didn't have a massive game. He had 66 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Ramsey did okay, but he did catch that everybody's seen the clip. It was Ramsey was fuming on the sideline. He was raging with the rest of his defense. Maybe somebody else didn't move across to pick him up or help. They sort of run like a sort of rub. It was nearly like a screen, essentially just moving Devontae behind the line of scrimmage, and then it took Jalen Ramsey longer to get there. It was a pretty well designed little play. Maybe somebody else should have popped out there and give them sort of that short coverage. They ran the ball well as well. Green Bay, Aaron Jones had 99 yards and a touchdown. They had over 190 yards on the ground in total. We sort of said in the build-up that maybe with the Jalen Ramsey matchup on the Devontae Adams as well, would maybe that's nullified a little bit. Maybe somebody else needs to win you this game. And I sort of hinted that maybe Aaron Jones can take a step forward. He's one of my favourite running backs in the league, even though he's a Packer. But no, he had a good game as well, so he took a step forward. But the Rams were quite good at sort of neutralising any deep shots. Now, Rodgers did take a couple, and he did make a couple, but they were good at that. And Rodgers just sort of, the run game, short passing yardage situations, he took the underneath stuff, and he just was really comprehensive. The Packers looked really good on offense. They just moved the ball pretty well. The Rams really had no answer for them. They were giving up the sort of short yardage stuff, but Aaron Rodgers was happy enough to take it. And then once they got ahead, it was obviously tougher for the Rams. Their offense hasn't really been purring too much this season. It's been okay. I don't think we've seen the best of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp this year. I don't think we've seen the best of Jared Goff this year. I kind of have my own thoughts on Jared Goff, but obviously he was hurt. He had the thumb injury. But the one promising sign really coming out of this game is the Packers defense. I think that's as good as that Packers defense has looked in a long time, really. Rashawn Gary had a big game. Zadarius Smith had a big game. Yeah, they looked really good. Now maybe it's the Rams offense not being fantastic, but if they can get that sort of level of play out of the defense, and Aaron Rodgers and this Packers offense can sort of sustain a game. Sometimes we talked about it in the podcast earlier in the year that sometimes that Aaron Rodgers and Packers offense can get out to really hot starts and then taper off a little and let teams back into the game. That didn't happen. So if that defense can play to the level that it played at the weekend, and Aaron Rodgers and that offense can play a sort of very efficient offensive game as well, this Packers team's going to be very hard to stop. Obviously, there's only 4 teams left, but this is probably Rodgers' best chance at a Super Bowl in a very long time. I think we're maybe seeing a wee bit of the difference in coaching now and the sort of pieces that Rodgers has around him than he did under Mike McCarthy. This is the best offense that Rodgers has had in a while. They've got multiple options now. Robert Tonyan's took a step forward. Lazard, Valdez Scantling and stuff, they can drop the odd ball here and there, but they're good secondary and third options, And then you have a good run game with Aaron Jones. He's so versatile. And, you have Williams in there as well, who can pound it a bit as well. So this offense is looking really good. It's really promising from the Packers, to be fair. Like, they ran out. It was a pretty comprehensive win. But it was probably the game of the weekend that had the least sort of talking points in it. The Packers look good. They're going to be hard to beat. They're obviously going to meet the Bucs now in the NFC Championship game, which is going to be a fantastic game. Both of them teams, I think, are better on offense than they are on defense. So it could be a real fun one. But the Packers look good. The Packers look really good. This was a comprehensive win. Like, say what you want about the Rams and maybe not playing up till the best, or, having their injuries and stuff. This team did knock Seattle out last week. So regardless, they played a fairly good team here that did have its problems, but they looked comfortable. They looked fairly comfortable. But yeah, promising for the Packers. The next game up, I think, is maybe one. It might have the other three have all got talking points, but this one was interesting. I picked the Ravens to win this game. And outside of trying to get into maybe like a tactical breakdown of stats and completion percentages maybe and yardage and stuff, this game just felt like the Ravens had no rub of the green in this at all. They just felt like they ran out of luck or something. And I know that's maybe not the best way to break a game down, but everything seemed to break for the Buffalo Bills. Weather was a big factor in this game. Obviously, it was very windy. And obviously you would think that would favour Josh Allen, and it did with his arm strength. Obviously it was forecast for snow. Me and Clive talked about that on the podcast last week, or in the video last week, that I thought that would favour the Ravens because of their better running attack. It didn't snow. There was no snow, but there was very high wind. Um, it did play a big factor in this game, and it just seems like yeah, neither offense. I don't like. Or me and Vesty have a sort of back and forth. If anybody listened to the podcast that we put out that he recorded, his little audio, um, he was giving me shit. So me and him have like a wee bit of a thing going on between the Bills and himself, Josh Allen and all. He's a big fan. I'm a little bit less sold, but the Bills weren't great here, and Josh Allen wasn't fantastic either. He's now in the AFC Championship game, which is a fair credit to the Bills and everything, but they weren't fantastic here. But they were just maybe slightly better than the Ravens. And even in saying that, this game could have been so different. It could have been so different. It was a crazy game. I don't think that neither offense really performed all that well. Obviously, there's the win factor and everything too. But I think the real outstanding performers of the game was some of the Bills' wide receiving core. Stephon Diggs has had a brilliant year. He was one of my favourite players when he was playing in Minnesota for multiple reasons. We lost him, and he's went there, and he's really helped. He's added another dynamic to that Bills passing attack, and he made some fantastic plays at the weekend. The Bill, John Brown as well. John Brown had a good game. There was some big plays made. Like some of the throws that Josh Allen made were fine. Some of them were very good. Some of them were bad, and the receivers made the play. Came down with the ball. A few were thrown low, stuff like that there. So the receivers played well. I think they were the best performers on the day of really anybody. They had a good game. Diggs had 106 yards and a touchdown. And then I suppose the defense has played okay. I don't know if it was down to the weather or playing up to they themselves put in a good performance, but the defense has played okay enough that, especially in that first half, I felt like both quarterbacks were very jumpy looking. There was pressure getting there. I felt like they were being rushed quite a bit. There was a lot of sort of scrambling about within the pocket for both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen was dealing with it a wee bit better, I think, but Lamar was sort of bouncing around the pocket a little bit too much, trying to make plays and trying to look down the field. He gave up a couple of sacks as well. I thought both of them looked jumpy. I thought both of them looked rushed. I think that both defenses were doing enough to put them under pressure, but they looked uncomfortable out there. But at the same time, the wind had a factor, and completions were difficult. But at the same time, I thought that Lamar's not the greatest passer. We all know that his accuracy isn't the best. But I thought that it would play into it at least a little bit. That they would establish the run a bit more. And like Lamar, if you look at Lamar's stat line, he was 14 of 24 for 162 yards. He only had 34 yards rushing, which I thought would probably be a bit different. I thought that he would have more yards on the ground. Like, that's not a massive Lamar difference of a stat line. Maybe he has only 150, 160 yards, 200 yards, but he maybe have another 100 on the ground or 80 on the ground. But he struggled. He definitely did struggle. The Bills' defense, as far as the passing game was going, was causing him bother. And then with good coverage came sort of coverage sacks that he gave up as well. So it was a real tight game. But as I said, it just came down to, it really just feels like bad luck for the Ravens in one way or another, because the game ended up 17-3, and we know that the game turned on the Lamar interception while he was rolling his offense down the field. Like, he got them down there, got them close. I think they were in the red zone anyway, and he throws a pick, and the pick goes the other way for a pick six the entire way back. So at that stage, the game was 10-3. It was still very, very tight. There was no, I don't think anybody had really grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. And then the game finishes 17-3. So that was the finish of the game. Like, but you score a touchdown there, things look different. It was a bad play. It was a bad play. By Lamar. He didn't read the coverage correctly and give it up. A few people saying that he maybe should have done a little bit better as far as tracking the ball down after the interception. But it is what it is. But it was a very tight game. Like, that was 10-3 right there. Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals. He's the most reliable kicker in the league. He put one off either post. So there's another 6 points that was left out there. You know, if it had been 10-9 or 10-6 or something like that going into late on in the game, it's a different story. It's even closer again. So there was that. Then there was the interception, and then obviously Lamar was out. They brought in Huntley as well, and then he had a big play. There was the missed opportunity there. It was a big, it was a bit of a blown coverage. I think it was by Tre'Davious White. Hollywood Brown got over the top, and he just got overthrown. So there was chances for both teams to win this game, and obviously, as I've said a few times, the weather had a factor, and I don't really know how to explain it. It just really felt like every rub of the green, every break seemed to go to Buffalo. You know, I don't know. I don't think either team played fantastic. I don't think that either team really established themselves on really either side of the ball. I don't think the Bills' offense or defense was fantastic and similar to the Ravens and the Bills, but one team has to win and one team has to lose, and obviously it all came down to that sort of one big play. But it was just small margins. It was very small margins. The game was tight the whole way through, up and until that big interception for the pick six. So, yeah, fair credit to the Bills. Now they're going to have a very hard time rolling into next week if, hopefully, Patrick Mahomes is healthy and playing. But I thought, I really did feel about the Ravens. I thought that they were going to come out and they were going to run the ball hard and they were going to establish themselves and play a bit of keep away and really, assert dominance in this game, and then their defense could maybe cause Josh Allen problems. But I think that their defense did a little, but neither offense was great at all. And as I said, I think that maybe the slight difference was the Bills' wide receivers, especially John Brown and Stephon Diggs, made a few big plays, and I think they were the difference. Obviously, Josh Allen has to throw them the ball, but there was a few that were high and wide. There was a few that were very low, and they were coming back to the ball to make a play. So I think that was the difference. That Ravens receiving core isn't as good, and then I don't think Lamar Jackson is as good at delivering the ball in there. So I think that's maybe where the game was won and lost, other than just luck's, blind luck. Justin Tucker doesn't miss field goals, even from any range really, and he stuck two off either post. So that could have made a difference in the game. It was a crazy game. It was a crazy game. I don't know what to draw out of it. I don't know. Can you criticize the Ravens too much? Because it was unfortunate, at least a little bit. Can you give so much praise to the Bills? I don't know. It's a bit of a 50-50 game. I don't really know. I don't think either team was great. But yeah. So that was Saturday's games. Sundays were not without intrigue either. Starting off, you had the Browns at Kansas City. And this was very much a tale of two halves, this game. It all looked like it was just, this was sort of a procession really for the Chiefs. So, me and Clive last week, we tried to make a case for how the Browns beat the Chiefs. What do they need to happen? It was like Baker Mayfield needs to play a clean game. They maybe need to get a defensive score. They need to run the clock down. They need to keep it tight. They can't let the Chiefs get out to too much of a lead. They need to burn a lot of clock, run a lot of the football. And then at the end, we were just like, yeah, but the Chiefs will win. And the first half, everything was going to plan. The Chiefs came out very, very quickly. Got up by a couple of scores very quickly. And at halftime, it was 19 points to 3. And it was just, well, this game's dead, over. Nothing's really going to change now. And, it's just a procession for the Chiefs to move on to the next round. But the game didn't end up turning out like that. There was the Rashad Higgins play at the end of the first half that could have turned the tide a little bit. He fumbled the ball out the back of the end zone, and then Kansas got the ball back, and I think they went down the other end and scored as well, as far as I can recall. But I think they got another 3 points on the board. But it was 19-3 at the half. Everything's looking fine. The Chiefs are rolling. They'll probably score another 2 touchdowns in the second half. The Browns will do well to get to 14 or 15 points. And it's game over. It's handy enough done. But it didn't end up like that. Patrick Mahomes went down, a sort of freak injury again. He had that freak injury previous where he, on the QB sneak as well. This one was another one that was a wee bit of a freak injury on a wee bit of an option play. He gets concussed, he gets up, his legs are wobbly, he's all over the place, he has no idea where he is. And obviously, with the concussion protocols and everything the way that the league has them now, he wasn't going to return, and it just opened up the game for it gave the Browns an opportunity to make a charge and come back at this. And to be fair, the Browns did, like, Baker started playing well. He started strutting about the second half, looking like cocky old Baker, and he started moving the ball up and down the field, and they brought it right back. You started to see a little bit more of Nick Chubb in the second half as well. He started running the ball really effectively. And they just slowly brought themselves back into the game. And at a point you were thinking, geez, this is going to be nuts. You're going to have the Bills and the Browns in the AFC Championship game. It's getting to that point now. And then, word comes back that there's no, Patrick Mahomes will not be returning to the game. You weren't optimistic that he was going to return, but at least there was a chance. Then it was, pretty much ruled out. And, Chad Henne has to come in. Chad Henne has to come in and, make a few plays. It was absolutely insane. I did not see that coming. He hasn't played. He didn't make a start in the last 5 years or something. He's been about the league a bit now. I think he's been in the league for 12, 13 years. Never really made it anywhere. And he has to come in now and sort of steer them home, essentially. And then he throws a big interception. Awful throw. And he throws a big pick, and you feel the momentum building for the Browns. They did have a chance to come, they did have a chance to go on a drive and go ahead. Didn't get there and had to punt the ball away. And then everything comes down to Chad Henne and them last couple of plays. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. One, I couldn't believe that Chad Henne could run for a start. I didn't believe that. And then to make the two plays that they did, it all came down to that. It was fantastic. He had the big run. Was it 3rd and 14 or it was 3rd and long anyway, and he laid out to get to the first down, and I was like, he definitely got it. And then it did look like in real time that he got the yardage to get the first down and end the game. Turns out that that line judge had placed the ball precisely where he went down at, and he was a couple of inches short. And then comes the 4th down play, which is completely nuts. Now, I thought that they were going to, it was around midfield. I thought when they lined up, initially, like everybody thinks is, they're going to try and draw them off sides. But I sort of thought, I was like, no, this is Andy Reid. He's going to go for this here. He is going to go for it. But I was expecting, Henne to... He lined up in the shotgun, and everything was very relaxed, and, there was no real urgency. They were letting the clock run down. There's a couple of hard counts. I was waiting on the hard count anyway. I was waiting on them trying to draw the other team offside. The Browns had obviously been said, don't move, nobody move. They're going to try and draw you off. Everybody knew that. It was good coaching from the Browns. Nobody moved. But I was expecting him to, at the last second, I did think he was going to do it. I did think that there was going to be a 4th down attempt here. But I expected him at the last second to sort of rush from the shotgun position up under centre, take the snap quickly, and then, QB sneak for the inches that he needed. And then they passed the ball, which was completely nuts. Great little design. They sort of sold it like it was very lackadaisical, and the lackadaisiness of the way that the Chiefs played it off caught the Browns napping a bit. They were expecting the hard count. I think they were expecting maybe a short run, a QB sneak or something along those lines. The last thing anybody was expecting there was a pass, really. And there was a great little play design. They moved it across for Tyreek Hill. He did the right thing then. He caught it. He was in about 5 yards of space, caught it, made a run, got the first down, and then stayed in bounds. Game over. It was an incredible little play design, and big, massive balls from both Andy Reid and Chad Henne to do it. And a great play from Chad Henne on 3rd down to at least give them that option. You had so many options there, really. You were going to be in the 2-minute offense. You were up by 5. You could have punted the ball away, put them really deep in their own half, and I don't even think the Browns had a timeout, or maybe they had one, and they would have had to go the length of the field and score a touchdown. There was that option. Then to not take that option and to go with the fourth down play, and then to pass it on fourth down, you know, balls, absolute massive balls to make that call. Fair play to them. I hope that Patrick Mahomes is back and healthy next week, till because you want to see a good game. You want to see the two best teams in the AFC this year, and first seed and second seed, till to duke it out. You want Pat Mahomes to be there as well. There was a few big performers on the day too. Me and Vesti have talked at length about how good and how much improved Tyreek Hill has been this season. When you talk about the best receivers in the league, the first names that rattle to your head are always like, say, Julio, maybe Devontae now, quite D Hop. They're the names that you go for. It was Antonio Brown for a while as well. You always went there. I feel that Michael Thomas, and they're the ones that you kind of just initially go, well, they're the best receivers in the league. That's your best receivers. But everybody knows Tyreek's a great receiver. But his improvement this year has been outstanding. He's moving all over the field now. They're using him in different spots out of the slot, and his route running has got a lot better. Now he's not like Keenan Allen. He's not just a delight to watch as far as route running goes. But he doesn't have to be because of his speed. But he's got better at adapting it, and jukes here, little stop, fake and goes, double moves, where his route tree has just got so much more. He's just getting better over his career. He's just improving year on year. At the start he was using special teams and then progressed on as sort of a gadget player, jet sweeps and things of that nature. Then he, early on in his, Mahomes relationship, he was brought in as the deep threat, and really only the deep threat, a few small route progressions. Now he's being used everywhere across the field, and he is improving game on game and week on week now. It's fantastic to watch. He's now running, as I said, he's not Keenan Allen or somebody of that nature, or DeAndre Hopkins with elite route running, great feet, but he doesn't have to be because of the absolute terror that he puts in defenders. All he has to do is juke inside, and that defender is going to bite, because if they don't and he isn't faking, he's going to get open because of his speed. So he doesn't have to be just elite and precise, but he's developing, and it's great to watch. He had a great game. Travis Kelce had a great game. They both had over 100 yards. And the Chiefs are damn good. I just really hope that Pat Mahomes is back and healthy for next week. Hopefully so. Another player that had a good game was Tyrann Mathieu. There's a man that had all the potential in the world. I'm an LSU fan. He got that big injury. He bounced about a few places, and it took him a season even when he was in Kansas to get back to himself. And he's just improving again as well. He's now a massive leader in that defense. And with that big injury that he had as well, maybe people were doubting his career and potential. It did look like it had the better of him for a couple of years there. Wee niggles and all after it, bouncing about a couple of teams. And it was great to see him win it last year. Because of the sort of redemption story that he's had. He's always had the talent, the man's fantastic. But again, now he's even taken a step further. He's getting better as well. He had a big pick on the day. It was an interesting game. There was the missed call as well. The refs missed a call and they didn't challenge. They challenged the wrong one, the Browns. So there was a bit of controversy in this game too, and it just came down to it. It came right down. It just was so intriguing that Mahomes was out now, and it opened the door for the Browns to make a run. They did make the run. Baker did play well, but he just couldn't get them across. There was one chance where they had a chance to go up, and they had a punt, but the way it ended, and Chad Henne and Andy Reid was brilliant. I'm looking forward to that Bills Chiefs game now as well. Yeah, but it was a good game. Browns at Chiefs. It looked so much like it was done at halftime, but then things change. We didn't foresee that one coming when we were picking our winners last week, so it ended up being a lot tighter. Last game was the biggest game of the week. I'm not here to brag, Clive, but I did call it. I was 3 for 4 on the weekend, so that wasn't too bad. I did pick the Packers. I took the Ravens. I took the Chiefs, and then I took the Bucks on this one. I think I predicted 30-27, and it ended up 30-20. I thought the Saints would have another score in them. Um, I said on the pod or on the video last week that I just wanted to be a one score game and it to be tight, and this game was tight the whole way through. It was a real chippy game. It was a real division rivalry game. Both defenses were talking an awful lot of smack. There was a few square ups and stuff. You know, the Saints did sweep the regular season series against the Bucks, and they weren't happy about it. This was Drew Brees' last game. It had all the hype going into it, which was great. And you just seen two great quarterbacks, out there. One of them for the last time, and I don't understand Brady, but it was going to be a big game, and we sort of said that like there was the key battles and stuff for this game. Where's it going to be won and lost? We sort of targeted in the video last week the sort of maybe the Saints defensive line versus the Bucks offensive line. There's a few other matchups, as well. Is the Bucks defense going to be able to hold up? What having Breeze what Breeze did to them. I'll use my words. What Breeze did to them in week 9 or whatever it was, that he had 12 different receivers or 11 different receivers, and he sliced and diced them. Was it 38-3? So we talked about this all in the video last week, and we were thinking the Bucks defense hasn't been as good in the second half of the season. Are they going to show up? Is Breeze going to do that to them again? But then we also talked about Breeze and him not being as good anymore. He's showing the signs of his age as well. His arm isn't as good. We talked about the coaching. That Sean Payton is a better coach than Bruce Arians. We talked that maybe as an entire squad, the Saints are probably better than the Bucks, and that led Clive to take the Saints and was like, everything surrounding the fact that Brady is playing better than Breeze, all the rest of the stuff, it's probably the Saints are better, other than maybe name recognition and big players on Brady's receiving core. But things changed, and the game was won by it wasn't won. It was lost by Drew Brees, which was a shame. His arm just wasn't there. The Bucks did a good job. The Bucks defense did well. Actually, in fairness, both defenses played well here. I felt like the Brady was only sacked once, but I felt that the Saints were putting enough pressure on him because Brady didn't play great either. So I think the Saints defense, to an extent, did their job. They did. They played okay. They were limiting, and Tom Brady was really struggling. He was really having to work, especially in that first half and everything. For his yards, he was really having to work to move the ball up and down the field. So the Saints defense was putting him under pressure, but the Bucks defense, on the other hand, did a great job of taking away the middle and short yardage throws that Breeze likes, and that what he's best at now, and what he's really only capable of doing. He's not going to throw the ball deep down the field and stuff. So they did a really good job of taking that away. Devin White McGay out of LSU had a fantastic game. He had a great game. We talked about that linebacking pairing throughout the year on the Tampa Bay defense. The Tampa Bay linebackers are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And we talked about how the front seven was good earlier in the year, but then didn't seem to generate enough pressure coming down the stretch, and then that opened the back end up a little bit. So, they did a good job, the Bucks defense, but Breeze wasn't. It was sad to watch at the same time too, because as much as me and Clive that was on the video last week have give each other shit, Vikings, Saints, and it has been that way since we started watching the NFL in maybe like 2000 and, well, for me it was in around 2007, Clive maybe 2008. The Saints and Vikings have had an on-off rivalry for a long time now, and as much as I've sort of I've enjoyed getting one over on the Saints every now and then, especially in the last few years. I really like Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and it was kind of sad to see Drew Brees out there and struggling. It was very much reminiscent of Peyton Manning, but then he won and went off into the sunset with a Super Bowl ring. So It was sad to watch because he was struggling and he was struggling badly. He threw three interceptions during the game. I said, in the video last week that I'll take the Buccaneers because I think Brady, if it's a tight game, which I thought it was going to be, if it's a tight game, I trust Brady more right now than I trust Breeze. Like, Breeze is one of the best closers in the NFL as well and has been throughout his career. There's really nobody runs a 2-minute offense better than Drew Brees. But right now, with Breeze's skill set diminishing and Brady just not showing any signs of aging at all, I would have taken Brady. It was a fantastic game. There were some lovely matchups. You had the Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. It was going on throughout the game. Mike Evans only had one catch, but the catch was for a touchdown, so there was that. Antonio Brown, he was taken out of the game. He didn't have a great game. Chris Godwin dropped a big touchdown pass in the back of the end zone. He didn't have a fantastic game. Cameron Brate and Scotty Miller. There was all these other players that came to the forefront for the Buccaneers and made big plays. Leonard Fournette had a big day. That seemed a long ways away a few weeks back. It was a good performance by the Buccaneers, and the best thing that you had the fumble by Cook as well, another turnover for the Saints on offense. The one thing that Brady is fantastic at is knowing what a game needs. Sometimes it requires Brady to throw for 400 yards. Sometimes he just has to take care of the ball. He doesn't have to play fantastic. Brady can win games throwing for 210 yards and one touchdown or no touchdowns, and he just gets him into position where he ends up running the ball in. The Tampa defense turned over the Saints offense a few times in very advantageous positions and put the ball in short. Brady was struggling to move that ball down the field, and the Bucs defense turned it over in some positions that allowed them to take advantage. When they were struggling to move the ball a long distance down the field, Brady had a couple of advantageous field positions to start with, and they got the ball in the end zone. And then it led the Saints to have to chase a little bit following that. Obviously you had the most Sean Payton thing ever too. That's why I do appreciate him. Jameis Winston versus your old team, and he stole the play that the Bears ran against the Saints the week before. The Bears in the playoffs the week prior had ran that exact same play and scored a touchdown off it. He throws Jameis Winston in to make it. The most Sean Payton thing ever. He coached a good game. They definitely did. They had Brady struggling, but it was just the turnovers. The turnovers cost the Saints so much. They couldn't recover. If you lose the turnover battle 4-0, it's going to be very hard. And you threw them away in a couple of advantageous positions. I suppose even early on, the Bucs had a couple of good signs. The Saints moved the ball down the field. It could have been a different game, the Saints moved the ball down the field early on in the game, and the Bucs defense stiffened and only gave up 2 field goals and no touchdowns. So that was a big win for them early on. And then they played with a lot of confidence. As I said, Devin White had a great game. Sean Murphy-Bunting had a good game as well. Anton Winfield Jr., he had a good game also. So, yeah, the Bucs are moving on. Brady, he's so good. He's so good. He's 43 years of age. He's 43. And he's out there. He doesn't look any different. There was that wee sort of phase in New England where everybody saw it, right, look, now he's falling off a little bit. Now he's sort of slowing down. But it looked like it was just the talent around him had just depleted. I'm not even talking about last season. There was a season or two before that where it was just it's just not as fluid as it used to be, and maybe he's declining now and it's finally starting to happen. He looks every bit of 30 or 32 or what, he takes care of himself, no doubt about it. The playability stuff and that trainer that he has, and look, I don't know. I don't know how long he's going to play. He could play another 2 full seasons if he wants to, and him playing at 45 would be nuts. And he's playing well. He's playing so well. His arm doesn't, like when you seen Brett Favre at 40 throwing the ball, and because he had such a massive arm, it didn't look bad. Like, he wasn't as good as he once was, but his arm didn't look bad because he could afford to lose a little bit of velocity and stuff and still be one of the, still throw the ball harder than the rest, a lot of the league, even though he was 40. Brady never had a massive arm, but it doesn't look like he's lost any velocity on it. And, I don't understand. He's 43. He's 43, and he's out there, and he looks fantastic. He's now got the chance to play in a home Super Bowl, which no team has ever done. The Vikings had that chance a couple of seasons ago, didn't come to fruition. And now he might do it, like, and they just look like the defense stepped up. Some role players made plays, and they just looked good, and they beat a really good Saints team. He just knows what the game needs. He can feel the game. The year that James White won Super Bowl MVP, Edelman's won Super Bowl MVP. He knows where the game's going. He's so good at working it out. Like, he struggled a lot in that first half, and he struggled throughout the game. But he knows now. Like, it's just, don't turn the ball over. They've had a couple. They might have more. They have to chase it a bit now. They're under a wee bit more pressure. Don't do anything silly, and he'll just manage the game out if he needs to. And then in some other games, if he needs to really throw a party and throw for 300, 400 yards, he can do that as well. And at 43 years of age, he can do it. It'll be Clive's probably had a rough Monday. He'll be sickened by it. He was utterly confident going into this game, and I don't take any pleasure in it, Clive, I swear. But what a performance from the Bucks and Brady, and it set up a real interesting, championship game weekend. You have the two young quarterbacks in the AFC with Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes, and then you have two veterans in the NFC, and Brady versus Rodgers is going to be fun. Brady versus Rodgers is going to be fun in Lambeau, and apparently there might be bad weather, so this is fantastic. This is everything you want from playoff football: bad weather, snow, everything, and you want to see it. So I don't know, it's going to be good. There was some lovely stuff after the game too. There was some nice, wholesome family content with some of the stuff with Brady and his family on the pitch after the game, or not Brady, Breeze and his family, and then Brady coming out and talking to them like, not the nicest way for Drew Brees to sign off, but it was nice that it was Brady. I think they've been about a long time, them fellas, and they've had their matchups, and that generation of quarterback is slowly fading out. We've probably seen the last and the best of the likes of Ben Roethlisberger. You've now lost Drew Brees. You've lost Peyton Manning. But Brady's still there, but he surely he can't go on too much longer. Philip Rivers maybe looks like his best days are behind him. So, and Aaron Rodgers isn't too far behind that either. So that generation of quarterback is slowly dying out, and it was some nice stuff with Brady and Breeze's family. But yeah, just a quick video, a little wrap up of the weekend's games. As I said, I think I'll maybe try and steal Clive and do a preview for next weekend's games, maybe later on in the week, maybe Thursday night or something. But yeah, we'll have a wee bit more coming this week. Me and Dev's going to do, as I said, we're going to do a wee podcast or a wee video like this, a wee Zoom call tomorrow for the football. We're going to do like one of our episodes that we've done on the podcast, which is called Talking Points, where we just bring a few talking points, talk them out between ourselves and see what way it goes. We're going to do that tomorrow evening via Zoom. By the time this is out, Vesti will have out his little rant while on the road. On his way home from work today, he recorded another one, so it'll be out in the streaming platforms. Go give it a listen. If you're a new, watcher on YouTube or anything as well, this is the Irish Guys podcast. We have usually just a streaming podcast, audio only. We're on Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We're just at the minute with restrictions. I'm doing a wee bit of this, so we're sort of making do and adapting a little bit, and we'll have wee bits and pieces probably with Vesti out on the podcast platforms, and then I'm going to do this for the YouTube channel for a while anyway. And then hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be back in and recording the podcast in full, because I know a lot of you do like our nerd topic stuff that we do. But we'll save that for when we're in the room. And yeah, I think that's it. As I said, yeah, I'll be back later in the week, do another couple of these. Thanks very much for tuning in and everything, folks. Thanks for the nice feedback. We've had some nice feedback from a few people recently as well. And thanks for all that there. Sort of carry on too. And, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell. Like it. Do all that crack. I'd appreciate it. Cheers. That's me done.